Good evening. Welcome to the December 12th, 2023 Gilbert Town Council meeting. I'll call this meeting to order. The first item on our agenda this night is an invocation by Dr. Dan Mooney, Senior Pastor at Elliott Road Baptist Church. Dr. Mooney, if you could please come to the podium. There's a microphone button to turn that microphone on, and it will light up red when it's turned on. Thank you. Perfect.
Let us pray. Our gracious Heavenly Father, we come before you this evening. We are grateful to you that you are the author of all life, that you are the ordainer of all human authority and government. We thank you that in your wisdom you ordained human government. We ask this evening that as our town council meets, that you will grant them your wisdom, your guidance, your direction, as they consider the matters and issues that are necessary and important in the smooth operation of our town. We thank you that you will grant this to them. We ask that you help us to keep them in our prayers faithfully. We ask these things in Christ's name. Amen.
Thank you, Dr. Mooney. We appreciate your time this evening in leading the invocation. Now we'll be led in the Pledge of Allegiance by Councilmember Kaprowski. Please rise. Town Clerk Herrera, please conduct the roll call.
Mayor Bridget Peterson.
Here.
Vice Mayor Kathy Tilke.
Here.
Councilmember Scott Anderson.
Here.
Councilmember Chuck Bongiovanni.
Here.
Councilmember Bobby Buckley.
Here.
Councilmember Young Kaprowski.
Here.
And Councilmember Jim Torgerson. Here. A quorum is present.
Thank you, Chiavelli. Our first item on our agenda this evening under presentations and proclamations, we have a presentation introducing the Park University women's soccer team of Gilbert, and this will be presented by Maya Mudry, Catherine Corlett, and Alexandra White. The microphone's already on for you.
Hello everyone, we are the Park University Gilbert women's soccer team, and we first wanted to start off by saying thank you to the town council for having us here tonight and giving us the opportunity to introduce ourselves to you guys. My name is Maya Mudry. I am a senior majoring in interdisciplinary studies.
My name is Alexandra White. I'm a junior, and I'm currently studying business construction management.
And my name is Catherine Corlett, a senior majoring in exercise science.
Alrighty, so I'd first like to introduce my team right here behind us. So to begin with, my team has been hard at work creating and finalizing a new culture here at Gilbert Park University.
A little bit about the women behind the jerseys. Most of our team is made up of local Gilbert residents, and we proudly represent local high schools here, local Arizona Youth Soccer Clubs, as well as local community colleges.
Like it shows on the screen, 65% of us are Gilbert residents, and along with that, 34% of us graduated from a Gilbert public school. So give a little shout out. I graduated from Higley High School.
I graduated from Castile High School.
And I graduated from Campo Verde High School.
And along with the local high schools, a few of us, including myself, are proud graduates from Chandler Gilbert Community College, where we are equally as proud to continue our education close to home here at Park.
Okay. On the field and in the classroom, we strive and continue to set goals and meet our standards. Within a span of 2 years, our team's GPA climbed from a 2.47 to a 3.59. Thus, out of 32, 30 of us have a 3.0 or higher, leading us to have the highest GPA on campus. In addition, we have received multiple awards, two to mention, a team award, Champion of Character, and then a handful of the girls on the team have received award of Academic All-American. Along with our standards, we value giving back to our community. So far, our team have participated in canned food drives, Christmas toy drives, walking alongside Best Buddies, Feed My Starving Children, and our annual kids' sports camps we are proud to host. Next, we value bringing our community together by promoting local Gilbert businesses. For example, we have supported our local restaurants for various events on campus, including senior night, Christmas gatherings, and more.
Along with all of those things that Alexandra just mentioned, we pride ourselves in being a team of many different individuals, all of us being different and unique in our own ways. Because of this, we strive to represent all of those and celebrate and give thanks to all the things that we support. Along the season, we have been able to celebrate breast cancer awareness at one of our game days, as well as Mental Health Awareness Week for student athletes, along with Pride Week. I want to take this time again to thank you for giving us this opportunity to talk about Park University Women's Soccer, the college soccer team of Gilbert, Arizona.
Nice job.
Well, ladies, thank you for being here. The only thing that I would say is, it's not Chandler Gilbert Community College, it's Gilbert Chandler Community College. When you're in Gilbert, that's what we call it, and I heard we own it now, so we're going with that. Congratulations for being such a great team, for raising your grade point averages together as a team. That's amazing. I know that you guys, the ages that you are and the years that you're in college, you've had some interesting situations between the pandemic and graduating high school and then ending up in the university. So congratulations on that. Thank you for being the Gilbert women's soccer team for Park University. We love our relationship with Park, and we're very happy to have you here. Congratulations. And here's to a great season. When is your season over yet? Or you just finished? Well, hope it was a great one and look forward to next year. Thanks for all you're doing in our community, too. Thank you. Yeah. Let's celebrate that. That's what we're here for, to recognize all the great things happening in Gilbert. And this evening, before we start communications from citizens, I want to say that we do recognize some of you are here to speak during citizen comment regarding Preston Lord and violent acts occurring in surrounding communities. And at the end of communications from citizens, our police chief has a statement to provide the public in the investigations after we hear from you. Vice Mayor, I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you, Mayor. The Gilbert Town Council values citizens' comments and input. Anyone wishing to speak before the council must fill out a request to speak card for each item they wish to speak on and submit it to the town clerk or place it in the bin provided prior to the start of the meeting. The communications from citizens portion on the agenda provides citizens an opportunity to identify for the town council matters of interest or concern related to town government. Under the provisions of the Arizona Open Meeting Law, the town council is prohibited from responding to issues that have not been properly noticed. Therefore, the town council may only listen to citizens who wish to address them, and at the conclusion of the open call to public, response is limited to individual members of the council responding to criticism made by those who have addressed the public body, asking staff to review a matter, or asking that a matter be placed on a future agenda. We ask that when your name is called, you come forward to the podium, state your name and place of residence, and then begin speaking. All speakers are expected to observe common standards of decorum and courtesy. I see the microphone's already on, so you don't have to worry about that. You'll have 3 minutes, and you will see the timer on your monitor, and there'll be one up on the screen as well. And you'll hear a button at the end, a bell, I should say, at the end of 3 minutes. First up, we have Katie McPherson. Following Katie is Jam, and I couldn't read your last name, but I think you know who you are. Thank you.
Good evening. Thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to speak tonight. I'm a resident of Queen Creek, but Gilbert in my heart. Just moved to Queen Creek from Gilbert. Mayor Peterson, Vice Mayor Tilke, and esteemed council members, as well as law enforcement and our chief, I think is somewhere here. I stand before you today with an extremely heavy heart, yet hopeful for the opportunity to speak with you this evening. Our community has lost a tremendous young man, Preston William Lord. While I did not know Preston, he is all of our children. He looks like my children, he acted like my children, and he has quickly become our town's child. In the past 6 months, several friends of mine have had their children assaulted, beaten, and threatened in much the same way as Preston. Another friend's child at the mere age of 16 performed CPR on Preston as he frantically tried to save his life. A perfect storm of collective trauma has hit our region, and it is imperative that we heed the warning that these children are signaling. Proximity matters when it comes to abuse. It is easy for us to disengage and disconnect when it is happening to someone else until it happens to you. It is right here, now, and our region is not held harmless. Many are deeply impacted. In public health, there are 3 lanes of well-being, distress, and crisis. It is glaringly obvious we have more than a few children in destructive crisis, but more importantly, that we must intervene now and recognize that. I stand before you tonight to request just 3 things from you as leaders: to publicly condemn the act of violence that took Preston Lord's life so that teenagers and adults alike recognize that this leadership and public safety officers will not tolerate such violence in our community. The runway to this event occurred many times here in Gilbert, Chandler, as well as Queen Creek and Mesa. To open a series of listening sessions with adults and youth around the topic of safety and violence prevention. Violence prevention relies on children having trusted adults and healthy adults in their lives. Unfortunately, kids don't get to choose their parents and the environment, and when those environments don't meet the needs of I see you, I hear you, I love you, they will find other ways to be seen, heard, and loved, and form a crew and a cause. And that is what has happened here. I'm hopeful that together we can see, hear, and love each other and our youth. They need us now more than ever. Thank you so much for your time. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Katie. Next is Jam, and following Jam is Nikki Conley.
Hi, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, councils. My name is Janice Oy legally, but everyone can call me Jam, like, strawberry jam. So my family and I had moved here in Gilbert with the impression that it is a safe space to raise my 3 children until all of these cases had happened. And as a mother of a high school student about to be in middle school and an elementary student, this really scares me. Like, I cannot send my child out there thinking that there are other kids harming other people. So Preston's death is not even the first, but a wake-up call to everyone that there's something wrong. These children needs help. And my eldest is a freshman at Williamsfield High School, and all of this deaths of Preston, Haley, and Jameer brings fear in me as a mother. I believe the alleged perpetrators are not born evil. There's always a reason for how they become. It all starts at home, community, and values. Not every child has a perfect family. Not every parent is perfect. There's no handbook to be a parent or a perfect child, and there's no such thing as perfect. But if there were multiple occasions that your child was reprimanded for their behavior, step back and reflect. It is okay to be not okay, but it is not okay to be not okay and not do something about it. Start noticing your children at an early age. Be present. Ask your child what is bothering them and what makes them do such heinous act. Help them. We need to help our children. Parents' education, I am lucky enough that I learned mental health is a huge factor of raising decent human beings. but not all parents have this opportunity. Chaparral Elementary School got the chance to be the pilot school to host the bullying awareness of parents and students last November 16 in partnership with Higley Unified School District and Oasis Behavioral Health. And I'm here pleading to you, councils, that we do more of this, more education to our parents and to our community. Not everyone has the opportunity or access to private mental health care. I can only speak for my children, but they get therapy, but not everyone does. So if this is available in our public school, those children that doesn't have the access could have it. As I always tell my patients, early diagnosis is the key. And from the East Coast, you always hear in the subway, if you see something, say something. If you see someone struggling, talk to them. As my 8-year-old daughter came to me last year on her first year here in Arizona saying, "Mommy, I don't want to go to school. One of my classmates told me his uncle have a gun and he's gonna kill me and my family." At 8 years old, those words should not be even possible. We need to teach our children more that it is okay to speak up, be part of the change. So I know my time is almost up.
It is up, yes. But
Yes. But yeah, just to end it, as a parent of a high school student about to be middle school, elementary, I will keep Preston, Haley, and Jameer's name loud and clear until we get justice and promote emotional and mental support to the students that are in need the best way I can. Thank you. And thank you for the extra time.
Thank you, Jim. Cassandra, next. Oops, sorry. Nikki Conley next, and then Cassandra. I apologize.
Hello, thank you for having me today and letting me speak. I'm here in solidarity with these wonderful mothers here. I'm a Chandler resident, but I am here because I believe that our community as a whole, Chandler, Gilbert, Queen Creek, we belong together. Our kids all hang out together, we see each other, they see each other out, and they are all friends. So I am the face of a boy who was a victim of a jumping. He was at the Chandler Mall with 4 friends last November, November 19th, 2022. They were walking to the movies, and they were jumped by 20 boys. My son screamed at his friends to run. His friends ran. Unfortunately, my son couldn't run. He got punched in the side of the head. He fell on the ground, and a car pulled up, and about probably 10 more kids came out and just started stomping him in his head and beating him as hard as they could. There was plenty of people around. It was a busy mall. It was earlier in the evening. He heard one of the boys scream, stick him," and he thought, "I am going to die." And he wasn't sure if he was going to survive that moment. Fortunately, one of the people at BJ's Grill on the patio called 911. She refused to give a description of the kids, and she refused to give her name. The Chandler PD called my husband and I down. We went down there, we filed a police report. As a mother, my immediate reaction was, what did you do? You know, like that's what you always want to, you don't want to think your child didn't do anything. He said nothing. We were just walking. The Chandler, the officer that helped us that day said, this is happening here all the time. They're coming, they're jumping kids, and they scatter. And your child is left with not only the physical bruises, but the emotional ones as well. It was hard to bring him home and explain to him why this happens. We tried different avenues. I know our police are, you know, the resources they have available to them are there's not as many as they should have, so we had a hard time getting the information in the video. We didn't get very far with it. We finally just decided to move on with our life as best we could. He's a strong kid, he's a smart kid, he's a football player, so he knows, you know, he knew how to defend himself, he knew to lay on the ground, he knew to put his hands over his ears, and he knew to cover his neck so he didn't die. So I'm grateful that he had that experience as far as knowing what to do in a situation where he was being attacked. We decided to move on and just go on with our lives. He's fine today, thank goodness. He was one of the lucky ones. Preston, unfortunately, God rest his soul, was not. And I just feel like at this point, it's getting worse. And I think the communities of Gilbert, Chandler, and Queen Creek, the city councils have to come together and figure out a way that we can help these kids and make this stop. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Nikki. Cassandra Irvin, next.
Hello. Mrs. Mayor and council members of Gilbert, thank you for your time and attention this evening. My name is Cassandra Irwin. I'm from your neighboring city over here in Queen Creek. I'm a concerned, but I'm also a hopeful citizen. Youth violence is a national crisis, and in the aftermath of 3 recent deadly assaults, the connection we have with our community, it's more fragile than ever before. Our children, they're fractured. Our parents are broken, and our region is damaged. Council, I stand here and I venture that we all want the same thing, and that's to not let these senseless acts drop the ball on our community. So, I'm asking you all one singular actionable item with a couple different bullet points. Respectfully, my request is for the town of Gilbert to be the second town to make a strong public statement condemning the acts of violence and intimidation plaguing our community while supporting those who also have information that can lead to justice. Bullet point number 1, a strict zero tolerance message. This has been said a couple of different times. From the apex of our town's government is necessary for children and families to feel protected. Your bold statement is an added layer of safety that cloaks our community. I've said it a few times before, Jason Aldean's song, "Try That in a Small Town," has come to mind several times throughout this movement. Clear, direct condemnation of violence and retaliation must remain omnipresent in the minds of local predators in an effort to mitigate future attacks. Let our voices serve. As a reminder, don't try that in our small town. Lastly, our children's narrative, it changes with us. Currently, retaliation governs the minds of our children in harboring embarrassment, they're harboring fear, and they're harboring their fear of regressive, stale, outdated Neanderthal behavior that they fell victim to. With clear vocal conveyance of encouragement from our governing bodies, we empower our children to uphold a level of social justice and integrity. We teach them commitment to value of life and liberty. We teach them personal responsibilities. Their voices will not be shushed. Their voices will be a contribution to our community. They are, after all, the future. Let it be known, the forward-thinking, cutting-edge, developmentally accelerated child is compassionate. They're connected, and they take responsibility for their behaviors. The direction our region is going is rooted in a growth mindset. Any behavior other than that is being left behind. Thank you.
Thank you, Cassandra. Mayor, that is all of the communications from citizens.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Could I ask Police Chief Michael Solberg to please come down to the podium?
Good evening. Mayor, council, and members in our council chambers today prepared a statement regarding what you just heard and reiterating some of those points. I want to thank those who took the time to come to our council meeting tonight and for those who have expressed their concern through their emails to us. I want to acknowledge the fear and frustration that the community is feeling after the tragic deaths of 3 East Valley teens, Preston Lord in Queen Creek, Haley Stevens in Casa Grande, and Jameer Jenkins in Pinal County. Although the 3 recent incidents are unrelated, they have greatly impacted our respective communities due to the violence that has led to the tragic loss of these 3 youths. Arrests have been made in both the Casa Grande and Pinal County investigations. Queen Creek PD is actively working on their thorough investigation and providing community updates as it progresses. It would be inappropriate for me to make any further comments regarding the Queen Creek Police Department investigation. But I'm here to tell you that we do condemn any violence within our community, and I am here tonight to reassure our community members that we will do everything we can do to successfully investigate and prosecute those who have committed violence within our community. There has been a lot of speculation and misinformation spread over social media regarding these and other incidents which have occurred in Gilbert and other communities. Gilbert PD has investigated all reported incidents and taken the proper actions to ensure any concerning behaviors or trends are addressed promptly. We continue to encourage any concerns or relevant information be shared directly with the Gilbert Police Department or other appropriate jurisdictions to avoid potentially creating online confusion or misinformation. More importantly, providing information directly to the police department will ensure proper follow-up and/or investigation is conducted so that justice will be provided to the families of the victims. Gilbert PD will continue to work on continued teen safety education via our school resource officers, our crime prevention team, and our social media channels. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. We appreciate your time. Now we will move on to the next part of our agenda, Vice Mayor consent calendar.
Thank you, Mayor. I have no request to pull any item from the consent calendar. And with that, I would make a motion to approve items 2 through 21, which includes the amendments 16A and 16B.
I have a motion by Vice Mayor Tilke,
I'll second it.
second by Councilmember Bongiovanni. Please vote. They don't have the vote screen, Chiavelli.
Let me close and restart. One sec.
My,
Do you have a vote screen now?
yeah, it's not there.
It's on vacation already. It's on holiday break. Just kidding.
She's checking.
Mayor, would you like to do a voice vote, and we'll get IT to look at those?
I'd be happy to. So we have a
Thank you.
motion by Vice Mayor Tilke, seconded by Councilmember Bongiovanni. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, motion passes 7-0. Moving on, thank you, Vice Mayor. Moving on to the public hearing portion of our agenda, we have no requests to speak, and I have no public comment received online for the items on our public hearing agenda, which includes 3 items this evening. One is zoning, I'll open the public hearing. Z 23-05, Z 23-10-A, and number 25 is listed on the agenda, the Code of Gilbert update for an ordinance related to fireworks. Would anyone like a presentation on any of these? Reader's Digest presentation on tracks? Can okay, I would appreciate a motion on the other 2 items. I'll close the public hearing.
I have a motion to.
Turn your mic on, please. Thank you.
I would like to have a presentation actually on zoning is what I had
I can't
hoped for.
hear you. Jim. Sorry.
I had hoped to have a presentation on zoning item Z 23-05.
Yes, I will call that up in 1 minute. If we'd like to take a motion on the other 2 items on our public hearing agenda, Z 23-10-A and the Code of Gilbert, number 25 on your agenda.
I move to take a vote on that.
Do you-
Second.
I have a motion by Councilmember Torgerson, seconded by Councilmember Anderson. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? Hearing none, motion passes 7-0. So that was on those 2 items, Chiavelli, 23 and 25. Moving on to item Z 23-05, I'll open the public hearing and ask staff to come down and do a presentation. Reader's Digest version, we're going to have to stop saying that because I think the generation is gone of Reader's Digest version people. So, hi Keith.
Mayor Peterson, members of the council, good evening. If I remember correctly, the Reader's Digest is a pretty thick little magazine, so just kidding.
With very short versions of stories.
Right, I know, I understand that. So my project before you tonight is for, as you've stated, for tracks at Cooley Station. The site is located, as you can see, highlighted, looks like a home plate. It's highlighted on the screen in front of you. It's west of the southwest corner of Williams Field and Verde Drive, right there in the middle of Farm Field, within the Cooley Station planned area development. And here's a little Cooley Station context map. You can see on here, I've added, you can see the site, and then we've added all the developments in the area that have been approved over the last 10 years, 15 years or so. The ones in white have been approved within the last 3 or 4 years, so there's been a lot of activity taking place in this area. As far as the request tonight, it's for a proposed PAD amendment to the existing PAD that's out there for Cooley Station to change the original development plan and to the applicant to request a few deviations, increasing permitted building heights and reducing building and landscape setbacks. And this is the zoning exhibit, pretty simple. I don't really need to go over this. Here's the previously approved development plan. Just wanted to, oh, somehow my mic cut out. Just wanted to show this to you for context. The parcel's in that blue color, that turquoise color, and as you can see on this development plan, which was originally approved in 2007, the property is already zoned multifamily medium back in 2007. So the applicant is not requesting to change the zoning from multifamily medium. They're proposing to change the PAD just to, like I stated a few minutes ago, add some deviations and change the original development plan. And speaking of that development plan, here it is. 568 apartment units they're proposing, 22.5 acres, 24.98 dwelling units per acre on the property. There's a total of 10 residential buildings, two at 5 stories along the Williams Field Road frontage, and you can see those on the screen in front of you. The rest of the buildings on the site, residential buildings, are 4 stories. Except for the carriage units on the east boundary are 2 stories, and then you have a 2-story clubhouse. And the applicant will probably go over all the amenities. You have 2 different amenity spaces, and then you have an internal parking garage that is wrapped. It's in that big building right at Wade and Williamsfield, and I'm sure you've seen versions of the site plan, a conceptual site plan. The units wrap the building, and the applicant will go more into those details. So you won't even see the parking garage. So as far as proposed deviations, there's just a few of them. Minimum net land area they're requesting to go down to 1552 square feet per unit. And then one of the biggest ones is probably the major deviation for this request is today the code allows the buildings to be 56 feet and 4 stories by right. Per the vertical development overlay district that is on the site, they are allowed to technically go up to 84 stories and 6 stories, 84 feet in height and 6 stories in building stories of building. Whew, that would be a really tall building. That would be a very tall building, right? So that's with what we call the bonus maximum. So that's, if they want to exceed 56 feet and 4 stories, they have to use the PAD tool to go beyond that. So that's one of the main reasons we're here tonight, is to reach that 69 feet and 5 stories. And then along the eastern boundary, the building setbacks are 20 feet. They want to go down to 10 for those carriage units. And then the landscape setbacks at 15 along that eastern boundary, and they want to go down to 10 to be able to accommodate those 2-story carriage units. So those are the proposed deviations which staff supports. So one thing that I wanted to bring up really quickly is the water usage on the site. I know we have a statement in our staff report that talks about there will be minimal impact on the water use projections. As far as that is concerned, multifamily, I'll just go over this really quickly, is about 48 acre-feet of water per year that will be used. If this was zoned single-family and it was filled with about 120 or so single-family units at about 5,000 square foot lots, you would see about 36 acre-feet per year of water usage. If it stayed currently as it is today, agriculture, you'd see between 100 and 120 acre feet per year of water. So this request is actually reducing the amount of water use on the project site. Just wanted to share that with you. As far as public participation is concerned, they've had one neighborhood meeting. We had only 2 people show up. Actually, sorry, 1, excuse me. We had a reporter from the Gilbert Sun-Times ask general questions, and then we had no other property owners attend, and we haven't had any members of the public reach out to staff concerning this request. So that concludes hopefully that was enough of a Reader's Digest presentation for you. As you know, Mayor Peterson, I can probably go on for about 20 more minutes, but I won't do that. So staff recommends that you approve the findings of fact and adopt this ordinance tonight. And if you have any questions for me, I am available. And the applicant, Reese Anderson from Pugh and Lake, is also here to potentially provide a brief presentation and answer even more questions that I may not be able to address. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Appreciate your presentation and the brevity of it. I think it's pretty straightforward. And does anyone have any questions for Councilmember Bongiovanni?
Thank you, Mayor. I just want to set the record straight. We did have one complaint, one email. I believe it was yesterday or the night before. So I just want to make that straight for the record.
Thank you.
To the council, yes.
Yes, actually, thank you for that. I just literally pulled it up. We received it yesterday afternoon from one resident asking us to not pass this project. So just to be on the record with everything. Any other, Councilmember Anderson?
Keith, is the only way that you can use the vertical overlay is by PAD?
Mayor Peterson, Councilmember Anderson, so per the VDOD, like I stated before, they can go up to 56 feet, 4 stories. That's by right through the VDOD. In order to go beyond that 56 feet and 4 stories, the only way to go up to 84 feet, which is through, we call it a bonus maximum. And the only way to get that approved is through a PAD. Yes, so that's correct.
Okay.
That second tier. The only way to allow that is through a PAD, up to 84 feet.
Thank you.
Yes.
Councilmember Torgerson?
Keith, was there not some, to the west and to the east, there were some varying heights that were already approved by right, weren't there? One was like an 11-story building, as I recall, and one was a 6-story building? Is that correct?
Mayor Peterson, Councilmember Torgerson. So to the west, there aren't any other buildings that are, it's just the Potato Barn, and that's only like a 1-story building. So that's to the east. To the west of this project, we have received the submittal of a design review case for a hotel that's about 4 stories. And then also some other commercial and retail buildings. There's another apartment complex kind of near it that'll be up to 4 stories. And then if you go further west into east, sorry, I meant east. Sorry, excuse me. If you go further east into the Verde at Cooley Station development, you'll see a 3-story building right up along Williamsfield Road. But those are all the buildings. You do have some buildings up to 4 stories in the Verde at Cooley Station development.
I think you misunderstood what I said. I think there's some land that is approved for higher heights. When we had a meeting with the developer, there was talk of some by right builds in that area that were much higher.
Mayor Peterson, Councilmember Torgerson, I apologize, I didn't understand your question. You may be talking about the project at the northwest corner of Williamsfield and Recker, the district at Cooley Station? Because I'm not sure if that's what you're referring to, because that was recently approved at 4 stories. So I'm not sure which parcels you're talking about.
I think maybe what you're talking about is the vertical development overlay district that would allow up to, but it would have to go through this process
Right.
of a PAD. And the VDOD was put in place in 2005, 2006.
Something like that.
I can't remember. That was put in place along the railroad, along the freeway, very specific areas that a height increase could be requested under a process like
Okay.
this. Am I good?
Yeah, I believe.
And I think maybe Reese Anderson might be able to answer that when he comes up to
Yeah.
speak too. Councilmember Buckley?
Good afternoon, evening. I have a question because can you bring the slide up that shows the project area larger than, and it shows the, that one, okay, yeah. And so your site plan or your plan here is, it shows 4-story buildings, you know, on the 3 sides. And you're requesting to increase those to 5 stories, correct? And so, and if it's my understanding from our prior meeting, that you're wanting more open space, but yet what you have here provides adequate, if not more, open space already. Are there any other reasons that you're wanting to increase the height? I'm having a real problem with a 5-story heights.
Can I just
So
interrupt for 1 second? I think the question that you're asking is better suited for the applicant and not our town staff. So can I ask you to hold that question, and we'll
Sure.
let Keith sit down, and we'll bring Reese up to do his presentation?
Okay.
Because Keith's not making the request for the height increase, the applicant's making the request for the height increase. So I think that's where your question is better suited.
Okay, perfect.
Anything else for Keith at this
Thank
time?
you.
You're welcome, thank you.
Thanks, Keith.
All right, thank you
Appreciate
very much.
Reese Anderson with Pew and Lake, if you'd like to come up to the center podium, please, and press the button with the picture of the microphone on it, and it will light up. And I know you're going to have to raise that up because you're a little bit taller than our last speaker.
Mayor, members of the council, good evening. I know the council meeting started with a very somber topic, and thank you for giving me that. And so with humble heart and heavy heart, though, I still wish each of you and your families and everyone that's watching a Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays. It's still a season to rejoice because there still is a lot of good in our community. Mayor, Reese Anderson with Pew and Lake. My address is 1744 South Val Vista, number 217. And it's a pleasure to be with you this evening. I do have a presentation. Some of the slides might be a bit duplicative, so if I skip too fast, would you just please shout out at me and just let me know to back up? And I'll do my best to make sure we're... So just, you all know about Cooley Station, so I won't spend a bunch of time here, but really for 20 years, this has been the plan. And this site's been zoned. Again, this is parcel 4 of Cooley Station, or the home plate parcel. This is the general plan map that you have today, and it's been this way for 20 years, showing it as multifamily medium. So really tonight is a fulfillment of that plan. And I also want to make clear for all of you, including those watching at home, that there's no request before you to increase the number of units that's allowed on this site. What we're talking about is getting a better project through the creative use of parking garages and open space, and we do have more than the minimum required. So I'm going to answer your question, Councilmember Buckley, and I'm also going to answer yours, Councilmember Torgerson. This is an interesting picture. If you look carefully, this is out of the original PAD. There's a recorded document. It's a little hard to read, but that's parcel 4. And if you look closely, the number of units there ranges from 352 to 829. So early on, they were expecting somewhere in that range. Tonight, 568, which is, again, not exceeding the number that's allowed just under the base zoning today. I want to make sure that we're all clear on that. This is your zoning map. Zone multifamily means that yellow cross-hatching means it's in a vertical development overlay district. And this is where I'm going to... we're in Area 3, that's the one in green. Again, this is one of your town zoning maps. So to Councilmember Torgerson's question, if you look down at the top line there, multifamily medium, base is 56.4, and by using the PAD tool, you're able to go a little bit higher. That's what we're asking for tonight. We think we merit that, and we can explain why. What we were talking about, and I think your question, Councilmember Torgerson, was the GBC district, right next to us to the east. So let me back up and go to that one. If you can see our site outlined in red, right next to us is a light green. That's Gateway Business Center. That parcel, and let me skip forward again, would have by right the ability to go 90 feet and 6 stories, and then using the PAD tool and the bonus maximum, as Keith was explaining, you could go up to 11. Again, you've got to qualify for that by showing that you're a superior project, superior design, et cetera. And so does that help answer that question, council member? That's exactly what we were talking about. And again, nothing's changed. So tonight, again, this is an interesting one because it's a rezoning technically, but it's a rezoning from multifamily medium to multifamily medium with a PAD overlay. And so it's not a change in land use. I want to make that clear too for anyone that's watching at home. This is not a change of existing land use to something that's multifamily. This is a fulfillment of the 20-year plan and vision that's been for Cooley Station. So you've seen this here today, but that's really what we're talking about. So Keith laid this out. I'll go back to it if you want me to. So those bonus matrix guidelines that appear in the Gilbert zoning code, we're using those to do a couple of things. The added building height allows for better orientation and grouping of the site open space. So your code requires a minimum of 40% open space. And there's a stipulation in this case that we maintain a minimum of 44% common open space. That's a significant increase when you think about it. In reality, between what we have in both common and private open space, we're right now, we calculate it at 48%. That's a significant jump. And the way we get there is using that additional height on buildings 2 and 6, which are along Williamsfield only, which that's using good planning principles to move those further north, further away from any residents to the south. And that's why it's there. Also with that parking garage, which is I think a really cool feature, you're able to park on the floor you live on and then access your unit directly. And then because it's a wrap, now that, again, that phrase when we say wrap means that building wraps all the way around the parking garage so it's not visible. Most parking garages aren't the most beautiful buildings. And so in this case, you wrap that building. And so the concern was expressed to us about, hey, I want to make sure we just don't have a flat plane along Williamsfield. We want to make sure it has good architecture and interest. We think we've achieved that. And so this is the concept. Well, let me back up. That's the conceptual site plan you saw that Keith presented. We've been working on getting even more detailed, and we'll present this in the DRB case, the Design Review Board case, to follow this zoning case. But this gets to be a bit messy when you see it in black and white. So what we did is we asked Jose Pombo, who's with us here tonight, and forgive me, but also Mike Crone is here from the Franco Family Trust, and all of us are able to answer any questions. So we had Jose and the design team color up this site plan, and then they numbered all those amenities. And I think this really helped me get an idea of the scale. As also, you can see there's an east and west courtyards. Excellent amenities. And you can talk with the staff, but this project has more amenities in it than most of the other multifamily projects do. So they're very pleased with what they're seeing so far. I also wanted to share with you all of the indoor amenities that are part of that clubhouse. And for what it's worth, I'm trying to organize a pickleball tournament at the grand opening. All of you are invited, okay? And the winner gets a chocolate shake on me. Yes, not you can't pour it on me, not that fair, but I will buy. Anyway, we could go through this list, and I'm happy to detail it, but the bottom line is here, this is a very well-designed, well-thought-out, highly amenitized project. It'll be a great asset to Cooley Station and the town of Gilbert overall. So back to some of the elevations. What will you see along Williamsfield Road? And the design team has done an excellent job. So within Cooley Station, you might recall that there's actually, the design calls for the buildings to be brought closer to the street. And so here, we've got facades that vary in depth between 9 and 28 feet. So the architects put together this plan. I know it's hard to see in its current form, so I tried to zoom in a little bit. So I just picked, this is the western building there, and those numbers above are not building heights. Those are the distances from the right-of-way line. So starting on the left, where you see limestone and brick, that would be 16 feet back. And then the next one is 28 feet back. Then you come forward to 18, back to 27, forward to 12. Again, one of the great things about this, using these neo-traditional design principles that the staff has asked us to incorporate, the design team's done a wonderful job of making it look like a series of individual buildings. But even then, they're not on the same plane. They vary as you go up and down the street. if you were looking at it straight down, and I just put the black and white up there, there's those same numbers, and you can see how that building moves. So they've done a great job. I just went to the longer building on the east, and you can see that parking garage there. But those are again, the movement of that building that would be on the west side. So backing up a little bit, what you see here on the top would be the east building, and on the bottom would be the west building where, in that corner unit that's there, the limestone and brick and the brown on the right bottom, that would be where Wade is, to help orientate you. So I know that also Gilbert's values are important as one of our council members, and so I wanted to make sure that I was answering that question here. If I welcome other feedback, but this was my best attempt at it. To be driven, I thought this project here helps drive the Cooley Station area and support that area, and directly support the existing and planned retail in the Cooley Station and the nearby areas. And I think the use of the parking garage is to maintain a greater amount of open space, including the height, shows that the project design team and the owner are driven to provide a superior project. In interest of being kind, to me, I thought that the increase in open space, the architectural interest and diversity along Williamsfield, including the other buildings that will have a similar look and feel, and keeping within the approved height limits on the south side shows kindness. I also think it demonstrates a level of commitment and kindness to the Cooley Station plan by matching the neo-traditional design principles. As far as being bold, I think the design of the site, again, using the parking garage with a wraparound building, the additional height, which helps us maintain a greater amount of common open space, is a way to be bold. And we think it's consistent with the town policies and plans of this area, again, been in place for 20 years. And as far as being humble, I think that this project meets that by not asking for more than what it's entitled to, with the exception of height. But again, to me, I don't view that as a deviation. I view that as using the PAD as a tool where you can show that you're a superior design project, meeting the criteria that are there in your code, and we think we qualify for that. And of course, we say that humbly, but we think that we meet not only the goals and policies of the town, we also think we meet the Gilbert Town values. Mayor, I tried to go quick, and I probably spoke too fast and stuttered somewhere. If someone has a question, I'd love to answer it. Again, Mike Crone is here from the ownership group, as well as Jose Pombo with the design team. All of us are happy to answer questions.
Thank you, Reese. Can you put the slide up that had the buildings in color? I think that's probably the best one to see. The best one in color with the layout of the whole plan. That one.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, that one, because it has the buildings numbered. Councilmember Buckley's question, I think, Councilmember Buckley, on this slide, maybe it's easier to see. Building 6 on the top corner, and then Building 1 on the other corner are the two buildings that they're requesting 5 stories. The others are all just 4 stories.
Correct, Mayor, if I would add to your answer, and thank you, and I certainly did not mean to skip over your question. The only thing I would add is that Building 7, 8, 9, and 10 along that east side, those are 2-story carriage units. So there's garages underneath, and then there's 2 units in each of those buildings above. Just adding some additional interest to the site. Across the way is the hotel and future commercial. Again, staff, there's no issues there whatsoever.
Councilmember, thank you.
No, I understand, which buildings and everything.
Yeah.
Without the changes, I think the project works well. It works well without, increasing the heights, and that, obviously is your choice to have that presented. I just have a bit of a problem with going higher and still having the same number of units that,
Yeah, I understand that concern. If I could address it for a second, just ask you to consider the thought, which is this project could be built with the same number of units spread out over the site. We would likely lose the parking garage, and we would lose some of the amenities in the common area open space. So by doing this in an area where the land use has already been set and the VDOD policy where additional height is appropriate, we think this is the right place at the right location to use these tools and get a better project. And so I just put that forward for your consideration.
Right, right. Then thank you. I understand.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Sorry, it's not telling me who's even requesting at the moment, so I looked over and saw your mic on. I apologize.
Yeah, no, thank you, Madam Mayor. So just to clarify, if you stated four stories, you would be losing what for the residents? You mentioned the parking garage. What else would you be losing?
I think we would lose, certainly, the risk of losing that parking garage, risk of losing open space. I know we would lose open space and lose amenities. I mean, here we've got 2 pools, 2 bog parks. There's 2 outdoor pickleball, indoor, and the list goes on. But what happens is that space gets eaten up with parking or buildings, right? It's the same concept for just anyone who's listening of taking a home that you and I live in and a 2-story home versus a single-story home with the same square feet. You just get a bigger footprint. And so you're just eating up land with footprint.
So you could have not asked for the five stories, and you wouldn't even be in front of us, because it was by right, you could have had that, but by asking for the extra story, the residents are actually gaining something from this.
Councilmember Bongiovanni, correct.
Okay. So we're not voting for more units than we're already zoned for, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Okay, that's the questions I have. Thank you. Thank you, Mayor.
Vice Mayor?
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Reese, for your presentation and for taking the time to meet with us. I had a lot of concerns, and I appreciate the time that you took. Providing the conceptual drawing was very important to me because I was very fearful that when I first saw the request that 5 stories was just a straight building and it would feel like a tunnel, and I was very much opposed. I was at a hard no, as you know. But the change in the elevations and the unique product that you are showing has changed my mind, and I understand all the things you have already mentioned about this is a PAD, all of that, but it was a concern. So I just mentioned that. I think it's important. This particular council, when clients come or applicants come forward to us and are asking for changes, even a simple one like this, I think this providing these conceptual drawings are very important so that we understand the product that we're getting. I know we're not having a thing to do with design review right now, I get it, but I think it's important for the community to know that we are understanding the product that we're going to get at the end. So thank you for that. The connectivity to the future commercial area is very important to me, and we talked about that, and I just wanted that on the record for staff to know that that was important. And let's see. And I do appreciate the additional open space and amenities that you have. So thank you very much.
Thank you. And we're happy to put it on the record, too. We agree with you.
Councilmember Kaprowski?
Thank you. I just wanted to make a few comments. Thank you for your presentation. Cooley Station has been planned as a higher density urban area in Gilbert. And while I don't think that this development would be appropriate for anywhere in Gilbert, I do feel that it is appropriate for Cooley Station. I appreciate the wrapping of the garage. I think that's really important to have that detail and design, and I think that that makes sense for the request for the height, request for that bonus height that is allowed in this area. I think that what I do like about this project is also the pedestrian connectivity, which is one of the components that is an important aspect of Cooley Station. We are seeing so many businesses in this area, and now we have the potential for the population to support those businesses and really make this a vibrant area of town. The open space that has been provided and the amenities is really fantastic. We just had a presentation about needs in our community, and one of the topics and ways that we saw a potential for the private sector to help with those needs was to provide and count amenities like this in those projects. And so I think it's very valuable to see the investment that developments like this are making in our community, because they are taking on an area where we may not necessarily take that on ourselves. So I'm in support of this project. I appreciate the layout and the attention to the amenities provided to the residents, and that matching that kind of feel and vision for Cooley Station. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Councilmember Bongiovanni.
Thank you, Mayor. Reese, I also want to thank you for taking the time to evaluate the Gilbert values in this project and taking the time to make the correlation between our values and the project itself.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Mayor.
Any other comments? Councilmember Anderson?
I don't know if this is appropriate for you, Reese, or for Keith, but I'd like one more time, just for everybody's benefit, for one of you two to explain why we plan for density at this location.
Oh, I'll take my best shot, but that sounds like a question probably better for the staff, because they have the institutional history on it. But I'll take it if you'd like, but I'd probably defer to staff to answer it first.
Yeah, I could probably
I know you.
I could give you the history of it, but
I know you
need
could
to
too.
have Keith explain.
I know you could too. Thank you. I'll sit down, and if you need me, come back.
Hold 1 second, Reese, because Councilmember Torgerson has a comment or question.
Right,
We'll
just
get back to you, Councilmember Anderson.
Yes, sir.
Just remember, you're standing in the way of Sean Lake right now. What I appreciated from this is that you've thoroughly explained that there's not more apartments and there's more open space. And that, to me, is a win, because as we've talked about amenities for the public, our our Parks and Rec, there's pools here for people. They don't have to drive 10 miles to get to a pool. They have things to do. Aesthetically, it is not a monolith.
Correct.
And it doesn't appear that, especially since it's the north side of the property, it doesn't appear that it's going to affect any single-family homeowners at all, correct?
No, sir. I mean, I can say with absolute certainty that if you live to the south of here, you're living across the railroad tracks, et cetera, these buildings are just screened from your view. I mean, you're so far away, and then the other buildings that are there that are allowed by right absolutely just screen your view. So to all of your points, I agree 100%.
Thank you for your time, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, Reese. Keith, would you like to come back up and give Councilmember Anderson's comment or question a stab? There you go.
Mayor Peterson, Councilmember Anderson, thank you. So, Councilmember Anderson, can you repeat that question one more time, please?
I just want to make sure we have it on the record about why at this location, the Cooley Station, why it is that we are seeking more density here in Gilbert, because there's a lot of people that don't understand that. And there's a reason that we did that. And I just wanted you to, again, explain short history about why we did this.
So, Mayor Peterson, Councilmember Anderson, so this Cooley Station area, as you know from the very beginning, 738 acres or so, over the years developers have worked with staff to capture this neo-traditional feel of neighborhoods with the ability to walk to amenities and to shops, to schools, to work, future potential transit center to the south, along this village center that's in a more walkable urban type core. And the character area, in this gateway character area, we have created streetscape guidelines and standards that have created this walkable streetscape that embodies a more pedestrian-friendly environment. And that is what we are trying to do. We're trying to make sure that all the developments in this area have that look and feel of a traditional, neo-traditional urban village. We kind of patterned the original development of Cooley Station and the original design of the master plan there's a city in Oregon called Orenco Station that's very neo-traditional in style and in design to create that more walkable urban pedestrian-friendly environment so that things are close together and it creates a more more livable type environment. And that's kind of the basic vision behind Cooley Station. I hope that answered your question. I'm sure I could probably go on longer, but it's to create that walkable, pedestrian-friendly environment where services and businesses and where people live are closer to one another. Hopefully that answers your question, Councilmember Anderson.
Thank you, Keith. I think it was also designed with in mind that Phoenix Mesa Gateway and ASU East and Chandler Gilbert Community College are just over the Power Road line, just east of this neighborhood, thinking that the density would be needed and required in this area for folks to live, work, and play right in that area. And the Cooley Station plan was approved by council, I think, in December of 2004. So it's been a long time coming. There's been some minor changes over the years, but I mostly appreciated the slide that was shared that showed that this location, this land could actually be anywhere between, I think it was 386 and 8 or 9 something, 900 units. So you're really coming in right in the middle of what it could be under the MFM zoning for this property. So I appreciate that. Keith, thank you. You can feel free to sit down.
Definitely welcome. Thank you. Thank
Appreciate
you for
it.
adding all that additional information about the airport.
I've been here a
and
long time.
ASU East.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And Phoenix Mesa Gateway has taken years to come up to what it is today and what we're seeing out there with Gulfstream and Virgin Galactic building the mothership out there. I mean, we're just seeing so much growth in this area that has taken Cooley Station. I mean, right after this was approved, we had a recession. And so it took years longer than any of us expected for Cooley Station to actually come up out of the ground. But thank you for that.
Thank you.
Reese, I appreciate your presentations and meeting with us. You're good. You don't have to stand back up, please. And the explanation that you have, I love the idea of the wraparound multifamily with the parking. I can only think of one other building in Gilbert that does that you park on the same level that you work on, Rome Towers in Gilbert. That's the only one that I can think of that's like that. And I appreciate different and unique amenities when we're bringing projects like this forward. So thank you for that. And I think it was Councilmember Kaprowski that said this project wouldn't fit just any place in Gilbert, but it fits Cooley Station because of the design of the area. And looking forward to it. So with all of that said, I will close the public hearing, bring it back to the dais if anyone has more discussion or if someone would like to make a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve zoning Z23-05.
Second.
I have a motion by Councilmember Karpowski, seconded by Councilmember Anderson. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, please say nay. Nay. We have a motion that passes by 6-1. The one nay was Councilmember Buckley, just for the record, in case you didn't catch that, Chiavelli. Thank you. Moving on to administrative items. We have 2 items on our administrative agenda this evening, and the first one is council administration discussion on status of me and participation in open meeting law training. Vice Mayor?
Thank you, Mayor. First, I just want to thank the Arizona League of Cities for their flexibility in scheduling training so quickly. A virtual training occurred on December 8th and was attended by Mayor Peterson, Vice Mayor Tilke, council members Bongiovanni and Torgerson. And I really appreciate Nancy Davidson's ability to share best practices she has witnessed throughout the state to assist our mayor and council in managing meetings to ensure all are heard and the business of the town can be completed. With the completion of this training, I recommend that this matter be closed and no additional action is needed. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Doesn't require any kind of an action. We'll move on to the next item on our agenda, which is 24A, Council Administration Review, Discussion, and Possible Action of Final Report and Recommendation of Code of Ethics Complaint filed against Gilbert Town Council by Bill Spence. Would anyone like to make any comments on this item? Councilmember Bongiovanni?
Sure. Thank you, Mayor. I just kind of want to say I support any resident's right to file an ethics complaint or request an investigation at any time. However, I'd ask that the citizen have a concrete presumption that something has actually occurred. Hats off to the investigator who had to ravel through thousands of emails that we have sent and over the past year, thousands of voice messages, text messages, and try to make sense of it all. To me, this investigation was nothing against the investigator, but what she had to work with was kind of like throwing parts of an airplane in the air and hope an airplane would come down. To me, it was a waste of 5 months of our time and taxpayers' money. However, it did do some things. It created chaos, created mistrust in this dais, and with help of Matt, our mediator, the good thing that this investigation did do was unite this council. So that's all I have to say.
Any other comments? Vice Mayor Tilke?
Thank you, Mayor. This complaint morphed over time, and so the regular process for us to address it is very unusual because there isn't just one person who the complaint was about. And so at the end of the day, I'm not sure who was really part of the complaint or not at the end of the day. So I would recommend that there's two options for us as a council. We could address each of the complaints and just for the record, and then take an action or no action at the end, or go directly to the action. Because it is a very strange situation to have everybody named at one point or another during a complaint. I'm interested in just the transparency of saying that we addressed each one of those complaints, but if the council prefers, we can go directly to the action items that are the options before us. So
Yes, Councilmember Torgerson?
I just want to say through the process, there is at least some learning through the process, which is great. I operate as a businessman. I'm used to dealing with that and not in a more formal of a governmental setting. So, you know, you get a certain awareness that possibly I lack at times, but it gave me appreciation for the skin that everyone on this council has. Gives me appreciation for the skin the mayor has. She's seen a lot of this over the last 2 years, and it's not fun. And, you know, you get more appreciation for what people go through, whether it makes sense or not. And for that, I'm grateful.
Any other comments?
Madam Mayor, I just
Yes,
have one. I
Councilman.
don't know if the Vice Mayor discussed this with Chris, but Chris, is it appropriate for us, since we're all involved in this, that we should vote at all?
Mayor, Councilmember Bongiovanni, that's a great question. This code falls under the old code, which doesn't expressly say that people should recuse themselves, council members should. It's always been the best practice, the way it's always done. The new code absolutely requires it. There's a couple of options I think the council could do. If the council takes no formal action, then the complaint will just die, it'll be dismissed. If you do want to take an action and vote to accept the findings, the best practice would be to do it matter by matter. The investigator found 7 different complaints, and each one's against different council members. And so the best practice, if the council did want to take an affirmative action, would be part by part, each 7. Make the findings adopt the findings for the first one, and then move to the second one. And whatever council members named in each one, they would recuse themselves and not vote on that.
What would the council like to do? Under the circumstances, I haven't made a comment yet. I didn't know you were going to jump right into going to legal advice. I don't like the way this investigation was done. I think it was very poorly done. I know it took a long time and it had a lot of parts to it, but there was a lot of information that I think was overlooked. And yes, it's a long explanation of many items, but I'm disappointed. And I will say that having been on the other side of many of these ethics complaints and seen them go through, this one was not done to my satisfaction at all. And having the discussion that we had 2 weeks ago about an ethics complaint, I wouldn't think that this council would even want to accept the findings of this ethics complaint. But with that said, I don't think under the code that because all 7 of us are named in this ethics complaint that we should be legally voting on it as a group, unless what Chris just said, we do part by part by part. So I'd like to hear some feedback as to how you would like to handle this. Councilmember Bongiovanni.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm good with whatever the council agrees for this.
Councilmember Buckley.
Yeah, I'm not comfortable voting on this. I like what Chris said. I believe he said if we take no action, then it just dies and we're done. But I'm not comfortable voting myself, but.
Thank you. Any other comments? No other comments?
Mayor, I just said, again, I mentioned that I'm comfortable listing each one of the allegations and any action that was needed or was already taken, just for the record. In doing so, after each item, there could be no action taken, but it's on the record. So, but the other option is to do nothing and just take no action. That means it's dismissed with prejudice. So that's up to the council. Because I guess at this point, you don't say, I make a motion to do nothing. You just do nothing. So that's, I guess silence means nothing, which is okay. But I think I just wanted to clarify that by saying nothing, you're saying we're going to do nothing.
It's an interesting situation because we've set a precedent of the way that we're handling these, and when all 7 of us are mentioned in the complaint, that none of us should be voting on it, in my opinion. But it did cover an awful lot of ground, like you mentioned. If you would like to mention all of those items on the record, I'm going to ask for a 5-minute break first, because it's freezing in here and I need to use the facilities.
If the rest of the council wants it, they don't, I'm fine.
If nobody wants that, but nobody's speaking up, do you want to cover each individual item, or do you want to just do no vote and move on?
Let it die.
Let it die.
Okay.
Yep, I agree. Let it die.
Okay, then we're moving on. Next item on the agenda is policy number 2024-01, consider approval of the council policy on 2024-01 regarding purchases for members of the governing body. Do we need a vote on this? We do.
Yes, Mayor.
Thank you. Anybody have any questions on this? Need a presentation? Questions from staff? Anything?
No, I'm ready
Would you
to
like to make a motion?
Make a motion to approve.
Move to approve. We have a motion by Vice Mayor Tilke, a seconded by Councilmember Torgerson. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Any opposed, please say nay. Motion passes 7-0. Moving on to communications. Report from the town manager, the dapper-looking, holiday-dressed town manager. I couldn't resist.
Thank you, Mayor, members of the council. I can assure you that sentiment has not been shared with me today. A couple things. First, I want to recognize 4 retirements we have coming up in our police department. I also want to thank our chief for putting it in an enlarged font for me, whatever that means, Mike. First, we have Pamela Farr. She has been a dispatcher for Gilbert PD for over 19 years, and her dedicated service to our community will be sorely missed. Sergeant John Gillis has 26 years of service with Gilbert PD. He was instrumental in our emergency operations planning and various assignments through Gilbert PD. Lieutenant Ken Davis has over 21 years of service with Gilbert PD. Lieutenant Davis held numerous assignments within, including our first training lieutenant. In that role, he helped develop our police academy and advanced training programs. And lastly, Detective Ralph Cornejo, who has over 26 years as a police officer, 18 of which were here with Gilbert PD. Detective Cornejo has provided valuable knowledge and experience throughout our criminal investigation divisions. We congratulate these employees on their well-deserved retirements. Their leadership and influence will be sorely missed at Gilbert PD. And with that, Mayor, I'd just like to thank all of the employees with the town of Gilbert and wish them and their families a wonderful holiday season. And we certainly appreciate all the great work they do for our community.
Thank you, Patrick. Next, we have any reports from council members. Councilmember Anderson?
Could I jump back to future meetings for just a second?
Sure, I didn't even, yes.
I just want to bring something up that I was advised is best to do it at future meetings. I would like to reconvene the subcommittee on Code of Ethics. There's an item there that we need to consider about discussing part of the process. And if the council's okay with that, we'll reconvene that committee probably after the, sometime after the first of the year.
Did you hear that, staff, that Councilmember Anderson's asking to reconvene? I'm fine with that, reconvening the subcommittee on the Code of Ethics to discuss some of the items attached to it. It's probably a good idea. I think we've seen a bunch of different issues come up. Councilmember Bongiovanni?
Are we moving on to the?
Comments from council members.
Okay. I want to thank Rob and Rocky from Parks and Rec who wrote me up something to make me sound like a radio announcer, but some things are happening in Parks and Rec. Riparian After Dark, the Riparian Preserve comes alive with a holiday glow during Gilbert's annual Riparian After Dark event. Stroll around the park of 1.5 miles of trails and walkways that weave through the park and enjoy thousands of holiday lights and displays. Local food and drink vendors will be serving delicious holiday treats, and that's nightly until December 19th at the Riparian Preserve from 5:30 to 9 p.m. Nerf Wars. Get ready to master your skills in Gilbert Nerf Wars. Attendees ages between 7 and 14, I wish we could go, years old will have the opportunity to put their skills to the test in a series of Nerf War games on Wednesday, December 27th at Gilbert Regional Park from 6 p.m. or 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. But wait, there's more. New Year's Eve Carnival. Join the team at Freestone Recreation Center for a fun morning of games, crafts, and rock climbing contests, bingo, and a balloon drop at noon, followed by a cheers toast of ice cold apple cider on Wednesday, December 30th at Freestone Recreational Park, starting at 11 a.m. And there's one more. It's the annual Polar Plunge. Whether you're ready to brave the depths of a chilly pool and grab a wetsuit and get your first swim of 2024, please join us at our inaugural Gilbert Aquatics Polar Plunge. Take a dive into freezing cold pool and then warm up with some games and hot cocoa. And that's exclusively on January 6th at Williams Field Pool from 2 to 4 p.m. Thank you.
Councilmember Torres.
But wait, there's more. I just wanted to, thank Dan and his team, but thank the Chamber for Thursday's tour of the Heritage District. Sarah Watts and our staff hosted 65 attendees to walk through the Heritage District and see some of the changes coming. And on Wednesday, the 20th, there'll be a redevelopment committee meeting, and topics will include what's happening at the old Clements Garage, Heritage Park, the lumber yard, and everybody's favorite bottled blonde. Yes, that's more. You can find the agenda online at gilbertaz.gov, and hopefully we see you a week from tomorrow.
Councilmember Buckley?
And there's even more. So I'm going to give you more information from Dan Henderson, the Director of Tourism, which I am the liaison for, and I love this position. It's so much fun. Let me get back to the beginning. Number one is Small Business Saturday Holiday Shopping Campaign launched on November the 3rd. I'm not sure, that's a little bit ago. I'm not sure why that's there, but I'm going to read A, and that may tell us why. I can't compete with these two, so you're going to have to deal with me. The campaign supports the Gilbert small business community by promoting consumers to shop in Gilbert this holiday season through business awareness, ease of access through promotional webpage, and incentivized initiatives. B is through campaign efforts Discover Gilbert connected with over 125 small businesses, received 25 small business special shop Gilbert promotions, and made over 20,000 social impressions through Discover Gilbert and social platforms. The Tourism Action Group met last week, December 6, 2023, to discuss the current tourism market and the Parks and Recreation Master Plan. Fellow tourism partners, businesses, and stakeholders attended the meetings at the newly reimagined The Acre event venue. That was very, very nice. They do weddings, they do all kinds of, so if anyone needs an event, it's really a cool place. Let me see where I'm at. Okay, in partnership with the Arizona Office of Tourism, Discover Gilbert was highlighted as part of the Arizona Wine-Focused International Group. I'm liking that. Press tip on December 3rd and 4th. Gilbert was part of the Visit AVA Arizona American Viticulture Area, designated regions where media learn from winemakers themselves about Arizona's wine regions. While Press was in Gilbert, they participated in a walking tour of the Heritage District, had an immersive experience at Undertow, dined with the Gilbert community at the Garage East Community Dinner featuring wines from Vino Strachey Winery with winemaker Brooks Lowry Idy, enjoyed a sunrise walk at the Riparian Reserve, and finished with a tour of the Hayden Flour Mill here in Gilbert. As always, okay, I think I'm finished. Yeah, that's the end. That's the end of the more.
Anyone else, council members? Seeing none, comments from the mayor, I'd like to just express that I was lucky enough to visit Washington, D.C. last week on December 6th and 7th and attend some ceremonies for Pearl Harbor Remembrance Day. I've had the honor of now attending 3 years in a row in different locations, and to say how proud I am of this community being the host town for the under construction submarine, the USS Arizona, that will hold the name of our famous battleship that was taken down on December 7th in 1941. I can't even begin to explain that to you. We had one event at the Naval Memorial, and then we moved over to Arlington National Cemetery, where I was able to watch the changing of the guard and the presentation of a wreath. And the Veterans Advisory Board Chairman Dave Rosenfeld also made the trip, and we just were thrilled to be part of it. We got to meet the commander of the new submarine and several members of the crew that have already been chosen to take part in that submarine as it comes on board in a couple of years. And then Friday evening, I made my way back to Gilbert so that I could attend a graduation for Gilbert Fire Academy. And it was a small but mighty group. There were 4 members that graduated, 3 from Queen Creek Fire and Medical, and 1 amazing young woman from Gilbert Fire and Rescue. And Chief Duggan, now that he's chief, he gets verklempt every time he has to speak. He gets a little choked up. It has come with the position, I think, and he does a great job. But congratulations to those members joining both of our organizations and both of our communities. I want to say a very big thank you to our amazing staff. I want to especially thank the Gilbert police officers that stand around us in this room on Tuesday evenings. I very much appreciate everything that you do. You've done everything from carrying my stuff out to my car at the end of the night to just making sure that we get there safely, and I very much appreciate you. To all the rest of the staff, thank you for all that you do in this amazing community every single day. We see the accolades that come in for this town, and although we face some challenges, we know that you are all here working hard every single day. Thank you. Very happy holidays to all of you, and we will see you in January. Meeting adjourned.